Okay, I'm gonna share a little story with y'all folks. About 2 weeks ago, must have been about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. I was standing here, looking out the front window here. I don't know why I was just standing. I always look out this window, and I look in between those trees. Right there in the neighbor's yard, there's about 10 deer I see running across. And they ran in between those two houses right there. You know, and I just stood there watching, and a minute later I seen a coyote run behind chasing after him. I'm thinking, oh, he's just chasing after some food or whatever, you know. So I just stood there watching, kept watching, and I seen another set of deer run by, about 5 or 6 of them. Nothing chasing after, no more coyotes. They all ran the same path in between those two houses. Stood here, kept standing here, and I see 2 more deer come behind. A few minutes passed after those other one, and one of the deer had a broken leg. The right front leg didn't work. It was just hanging and dangling, and he was struggling to, jump over the little mountain of snow that was over there. I felt bad. I almost wanted to call animal protection or whoever, but I felt they wouldn't do that. What are they gonna do? Call the police on an injured animal? In this world we live in, people don't care about injured animals, and So I just let it be. So then the incident happened. It's probably about 4 days ago now, where my kids got on their little plasma scooters and they made themselves out the front door all the way down that road, and they went and hopped on kind of road 81. They made about 200 yards on 81. I had to call the police and everything. I was panicking. Since then I got double-sided locks, but anyway, I got to meet my neighbors for the first time after being here about 3-4 months. And and we got to talking about all the animals around here, the wild turkeys, the deer, and whatever, and foxes, and I was telling them about that incident where I saw the injured one jumping across, and he said that guy's still alive. He said I should go get my knife and just take it out of its misery. I said, don't do that. I didn't argue with him or nothing. I just said, just don't do that. But that's the type of world we live in. We look for reasons to justify killing other creatures when that creature is a life, just like any of us. And what right do we have to take another creature's life? I mean, it made it a year like that. Obviously it's fine. We got human beings born with no legs, no arms, and all types of disfigurements, and we don't think that, oh, let me take them out of its misery. We don't think like that. But when it comes to other life forms, we tend to think that we're above them, and their life is meaningless, but it's just not true. Obviously it's still fighting for its life a year later. Why would you take its life for it? So no misery. It didn't look like any misery there. I've seen people walking around or living in wheelchairs the rest of their lives, and they're fine. Maybe not mentally or emotionally, but they ain't took themselves out of their own misery. So that should tell you something. We've been trained at a very young age, since birth, to lack compassion. It's conditioned in us since childbirth, that we lack compassion, and then that lack of compassion spills onto our own, species, the human species. We lack compassion for one another, but that lack of compassion, is rooted within us from, like I said, it's trained at a young age. We don't think about that. I really think about stuff like that, and I get a little emotional when I drive by on 169 in Champlain. They got a little petting going on where they got animals for our pleasure to pet, because we just want to pet animals, no different than caging up people for people's amusement. Slavery days, think about it. That's lack of compassion. Now things have changed, and I see in the future that things are going to change too. For animals, it's going to be a better future. For animals, they're going to have more rights, because they're sentient beings just like us, but we don't treat them like that. It's just not right. But everything changes, but some people ain't ready for the change. And back when slavery was going on, a lot of people weren't ready for that change either. Some people still ain't ready for that change, and there's a lot of hate going on in this world, color of skin, and my point of view, color of skin, my skin is not black, as you can see. I don't know anybody whose skin is white in this world or whose skin is black. So stop labeling me black. I'm a human being. I'm part of the human race. You know? Not the black race, the human race. Don't put me in a category like that. I hate it. I'm not like everybody else, and that's what separates me from everybody who thinks that I'm one of them. I'm not. I'm one of you, as in the human species. And I live on this planet like everything else that lives on this planet as earthling. You know, we all deserve a chance to live a loving, you know, peaceful life. But unfortunately, we don't live like that. And everything's about money and politics and control, you know, whatever. The word government means to control, you know, wake the fuck up, you know. I don't know. People just like living this way, and I guess it's easy for them than to fight back and to stand up for something they believe in, but maybe people just don't believe in anything, you know, they just believe what they're told. I don't believe what I'm told, and I was always the one that questioned in elementary school. Why do we need this? Why do we need that? Hell, I remember questioning about the damn story in the Bible. We came from a rib. That just don't sound right to me. It just didn't resonate, so I resonated away from religion, you know, but it's forced upon us, just like our diets are forced upon us at a young age of childbirth. And some of us, we give in and we go along preaching the good old gospel because that's all we know. But open your eyes, how many different religions are there that separates us from one another, you know? Whose religion is better? Yours, mine, his? Hell, I live from my heart. That's the difference. I don't live off of some book. I live what feels right in my heart. If I read it in the damn Bible and it just don't sound right to me, I don't even want to have nothing to do with that book. So when somebody says to me or references the Bible, I don't want to hear nothing about it. Please don't tell me nothing about it. That book to me is just some bullshit, you know? It's all coded information, and people take the information as they read it, but they don't look into it, you know? They don't really understand. Like, part of my awakening was me sitting in my bed. I was dealing with drama that's going on in my life, and I felt like I needed some help. I needed to reach out to God, but I didn't see God like everybody saw God. So I took everything that I knew, that just questions I had from the Bible, and it was 3 questions I asked myself. I said, God, if God knows everything that I'm thinking, everything that I've done in my life, and everything that everybody's done in their life, I said, well, hell, the only person that knows everything I've done or seen or everything I thought is me. All right? So that was one question. Question number 2, I said, well, if we're all made in God's image, okay, so I look at myself in the mirror. Okay, I'm made in God's image. I take my son, he looks in the mirror, it's God's image. Take the neighbor's dog and cat, looks in the mirror, it's God's image. I take this plant right here. This plant looks in the mirror, this is God's image. Okay, that's question number 2. Question number 3, God creates life. Well, I have 2 boys I created. I did that. And like this plant that I just showed you, this plant has the ability to create life. An apple drops a seed in the ground, creates life. What in this planet does not create life? So I took those 3 questions and I said to myself, God, are you inside of all of us? Next thing you know, something took place, and I wrote about it when it happened in 2014, and I called it my awakening, and this is when my whole journey started. You know, and then I got all these chills in my body as soon as I said that, and this rushing energy just shot up, you know, to my head, and my eyes was just wide awake. And I remember passing out right after that. And then I woke up the next day, and it was the first day of my start of my season back in the construction. I remember crying on the way to work all day on the way to work, and I was full of positive spirits. And I remember just being in positive spirits around everybody. I remember on the way home, I cried a lot, you know, and I remember asking for forgiveness for every bad thing I'd done, you know, but something inside me had changed. I was no longer the same Jamal that everybody knew. So I started acting all strangely and doing, you know, I I didn't know what had happened to me. And it took me a year and a half to realize what had happened to me, you know, and I learned that a lot of people, they do certain things to their bodies, and they do all these different rituals to get what had happened to me, you know, and it just happened to me. I didn't know, you know, and I learned about the Kundalini, awakening the Kundalini. Yes, Amari.
Can I go outside?
Yes, as soon as I'm done. And then I learned about that, and then I started learning about energy, and I started learning about all types of stuff, you know. Now, I mean, I have stuff that just lands in my mind. Like when I started Clean Spirit Living, I remember laying, it was not too long after that awakening happened. I remember laying in the back of my bed, I laid back, and I remember Quila was like, "What should we put on the top?" I was like, "I don't know, Quila." I laid back. Just as I laid back, I said, "The way to change the world is in the food we eat." And I laid back up, I said, "That's it. Put that on top of the site," you know? But it makes so much sense to me because the way to change the world is in the food we eat. And you imagine we're eating other animals, you know, and we're lacking compassion, you know? If we were to change the lack of compassion in this world, the whole world would change. There would be no greed. Everything wouldn't be about money. Just think about it. Think about it. You know, and everything we put in our body is just, it's most of the stuff we put in our body is bad, you know, and then the stuff that's good for us, you know, it's expensive. Why does it make sense to put chemicals on stuff? You can spray them versus not putting it on stuff, and it costs more when you don't put it on it. Why does it cost more? It's less ingredients, right? And then I hear people, bullshit just doesn't resonate with me like it does with everybody else. I hear people talking about the world's being overpopulated, and it just doesn't make sense to me. I see all this land everywhere in all these different countries, and we're destroying rainforests to cut down for, well, how many football fields a day it is just for agricultural farming for us to grow corn and feed cows and shit. I don't get it. And then in my mind, I see we got all these factories that we build products just for people to consume or have objects. Why can't we make indoor greenhouses where there's shelves of stuff just growing, and it won't cost electricity because we got solar power, you know? It's like, this stuff doesn't cost money, it just costs, you know, just common sense, but everything's about money, you know? That's why I plan on like building a greenhouse in the back of my house, you know, all year round. I ain't got to worry about that. I'm about to cut myself off of this, the way the whole world lives, you know, and everybody looks at me like I'm crazy the way I live, because I want to pay my house off in 5 years, and like, I don't want to invest my money in 401k because I could care less about greed, you know? I just don't see things the way normal people see it. I want to break free from this slave system that we're all in. So I figure if I pay my house off in 5 years, I do my addition on the next year, you know, and then all the money that I got just goes in the bank, you know, and I don't need all the money, so that's like retirement or whatever everybody else calls 401k. At least mine's not going up and down. Mine's just gonna keep going up. And then when I retire, I'll get my pension, which is a set amount, which I could collect to the day I die. If I live a healthy lifestyle, hell, I could live to 100 plus, but whatever, you know, but to each their own. Y'all go ahead and put your money in 401k, risk it, you know, eventually everything's gonna crash and everybody's greed is gonna catch up to them, you know. Well, hell, you can even keep my money once it's all said and done. I'll have my house, my greenhouse, and I'll have my solar panels, and I guess I'll have to deal with what I gotta deal with in the winter. I'll burn fires, I'll set the house on fire, whatever. But I just thought I'd throw this out here. This is just like a combination of everything that's transpired since 2014. I just gave you a basic breakdown, but it's a lot more to it. But I just wish the whole world would have a little bit more compassion. But you can't have compassion when you're absorbing negative energy constantly all day, watching the news. That's all they put out there is negative shit, you know, and then we're absorbing negative energy in everything we eat. I don't care if you're eating a plant-based diet and you kill the goddamn food, it's no longer live energy in it. It's negative energy. Not saying that you gotta cook all your foods, but when you absorb animals and all the suffering that they go through, and you're eating them, you're absorbing all their emotions that they went through, you know, all the torture they went through their whole lives. I sound crazy to most people, that's okay. You don't understand, but you're dealing with a lot of damn trauma and negative energy throughout your life, and you wonder where it comes from. It's the way we live, it's everything, you know, but I don't expect anybody to wake up today, tomorrow, whatever. Everybody does it in their own pace, but the world is changing, whether you wish to acknowledge it or not. I watch movies all the time, and they're putting this shit in the movies. There's always some vegan in the movies now, and it's just like everywhere, you know, and in the grocery stores, they're all changing. You can wake up and notice it. You could jump on the bandwagon, or you could stay left behind and be one of the stragglers. Is going to be one of the followers that does it when everybody else is doing it. Hell, I did it because I felt hell, my whole transition to why I became a vegan was after the awakening. I wasn't watching all those health documentaries and stuff like that. I didn't watch any of that stuff. I posted all this stuff on my Facebook. Since 2014, I post that little 3-year-old boy, Hispanic. He told his mom how he's not going to eat those animals on his plate, how they're our friends. That touched me. That touched me so much it made me cry. I watched like 3-4 times in a row and it made me cry every single time because something inside me it didn't resonate no more. And I quit cold turkey that day. That day, 3 years ago. I'll never forget, my wife was out of town in Vegas celebrating her birthday. April 29th is her birthday. She was out there in the middle of April, so I'll never forget. I'll never forget. So my transitioning to a vegan diet is not like anybody else's. It is not the information that you guys are all learning, watching What the Health. If you ain't seen What the Health yet, you better watch it. Watch it, like seriously. And then go ahead and watch Cowspiracy too. And you see like how our greed and consumption is destroying this planet, and it's just like, it puts me in rage. Nobody cares. Nobody really cares, and even when they watch it, they don't really care. Some people do. But for the most part, people are just like selfish, and all they care about is their happiness. But they're not happy when they get sick, and they want everybody to come visit them and shit. To me, it's like, what? You put yourself there. You knew that shit was poison, and you knew it wasn't good for you. But at the same time, they teach us differently in school. They teach us that dairy is good for us and meat is good for us, but they don't teach you the truth because it's all about money. Wake the fuck up. I'm tired of this shit. I'm out.